Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to today's edition of Press R. A political alliance is simply defined as a temporal understanding by politicians or political parties with different policies, but who agree to pool their resources in order to stop a candidate or party from gaining power. From this perspective, it will not be foolhardy to say that it will be difficult for any political party to win the October 12, 2025 presidential election in Cameroon without a political alliance. The Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CPDM, faced its toughest electoral battle this far in 1992, when the SDF, the NUDP, and other political powerhouses gave the ruling party a run for its money. The CPDM learned its lesson and went into political alliances that have enabled the party rumble through all electoral processes. The CPDM still enjoys the allegiance of some of its political friends, but the detachment of the NUDP of Bello Buba Maigari and FSNC of Issa Chiruma Bakari are serious cracks on the pillars of its alliances. Will the political battleground for the top job in Cameroon this year unravel a feared challenger to the old order? What role will political alliances play is what Press R is going to be discussing today. This is Kilian Dandifon, and you are watching Press R. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Our topic of discussion on Press R today is October presidential election in Cameroon. What role will alliances play? And to talk about this topic that is just on time after the convening of the electorate to the polls on October 12th, of course, this year, in just about 3 months, we have invited Promise Akante. She is a journalist and she also is a corporate communicator. Promise, welcome to Press R.
Thank you very much, Kilian. Hello, ladies and gents. You're welcome again with the press. Let me begin by wishing you a happy birthday, Kilian.
Thank you.
You're looking younger. And we hopefully are going to ask the pertinent questions, give the right answers, and help Cameroonians better make informed choices come October 12, 2025.
That is why you are here. And to your left, I introduce Paul Anchang. Paul Anchang is a political analyst. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you very much, Killian. Thank you to CRTV. Thank you to the Director General, Shaun Dongo. Happy birthday to you, my elder, Killian Dandifo. I mean, another day is a blessed day. That means we wish you all the best as you continue to also inspire us as well, especially in the Anglophone community on the political scene as well.
Thank you so much. I am honored. And I introduce Diodone Chi. Diodone Chi is a communicator in the Social Democratic Front, the SDF. You're welcome to Press R. Diodone.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kilian. Thanks for having me for this very important program coming immediately after the convening of the Electoral College for the upcoming October presidential elections. I want to greet my co-panelists and, of course, join them to wish you a happy birthday. Greetings to the great family of the Social Democratic Front, particularly to the National Chairman, Honorable Joshua Usi, who is a flag bearer of the SDF. And of course, before I greet our televiewers, I want to greet particularly the President of the Republic and those that accompany him in the exercise of his functions. On the words that he himself said on the 10th of September 2019, when he was convening the national dialogue that unfortunately but unsurprisingly turned around to be a talk show, the President of the Republic said that he has put in place a lot of measures to calm down the situation in the northwest and southwest regions.
Yes, can we reserve that for the discussion?
I want to greet the President. Can you allow me to greet the President?
No.
I want to greet him with these words.
No,
let me greet him with these words. You are refusing me to state the speech of the President on CRTV. It's not normal. I'm not talking about the chairman of the SDF. I'm talking about the speech of the head of state. Please, can I state his words?
we could reserve
Please, can
that.
I say these words? I will come. It is not part of our debate. I want to greet the president with these words, his words.
Go
it's
ahead.
not a problem.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
But be brief.
Thank you very much.
Can you be brief?
I'm brief, and it's very important, and you have to take note that we are in a very critical moment in our country, and when you invite me here, I don't come to win debates or to make points to please people. We are looking for solutions for the problems of Cameroonians. You should know that better because you are a journalist and you are informed.
I know
so
that
I'm saying this.
I know that's why I've invited
I'm saying
you. Look
this.
at me.
I'm
Look
saying
at
this
me.
publicly.
Look at
Greet
me.
the president.
Look at me. Look at me. I coordinate this program. Greetings are brief.
Of course, yes. I want to greet the president. All right, let me be brief.
I give you 30 seconds.
You have permitted us to extend. You have already chopped a lot of the time.
Yeah, because I
coordinate. So the president of the republic said that he has relaxed. He has stopped trials, criminal trials against 289 people, and he is asking for those that are in the bushes to come out so that Cameroon will have peace. Those are good measures, but I am telling the president of the republic here today that it is incoherent and unproductive to ask armed groups to come, people from the bushes to come out, and then you lock the prison for those that you are keeping. The Ayuk Tabes, the Mancho Bibigzi, the Tassam Wilfreds. The president of the republic should free them. The president of the republic should free those that are caught during manifestations linked to electoral issues. The president of the republic should bring back the corpse of Amadou Ahijo. This is the time to assist President Paul Biya appease Cameroon. This is the time to assist him appease Cameroon.
All greet the President of the Republic of Cameroon, His Excellency Paul Biya,
saying that
please,
he should
please,
continue,
please,
saying that he should
please,
continue
please,
with the
you have not come here to disturb this program.
Peace.
You have not come here to disturb.
No, I'm not disturbing the program.
We Press R is a Republican.
The problem
program.
is that my greetings did not please you.
We are going to introduce another panelist who is here with us. He is the national president of the National Socialist United Socialist Democratic Party in the name of Prince Michael Ngwese Ekoso. He is the national president of that party. And I want to apologize on behalf of one of the panelists who is derailing. I would just hope that as the program continues, he should know that we are coordinating this program and we are respected and respectable people. We have a topic, and this is our topic. Any attempt to derail again, I will, and I say it on behalf of our viewers who know you have disturbed us already at the beginning. We're going to silence your microphone. This is not any kind of thing. You must stay within the framework of our subject, and we discuss. If you meet me after and you suggest another topic, I will bring you to the set and we'll talk about that.
That was an introduction,
now,
Mr. Killian.
We are going to call on Emanuela Vemnui to present the press review that she did for us because she's the one who read the newspapers.
A busy press week ends in Cameroon with newspapers keen on major happenings around the country. The reconstruction of the northwest and southwest regions is palpable in Cameroon Tribune as basic social infrastructure is rehabilitated, roadworks underway and support to small and medium-sized enterprises in process. Thrilling facts and figures of the reconstruction plan presented by Minister Tassong in municipal updates before PM Gute hails peace gains and activity boost after visiting Bamenda in the Median. The Voice informs its readers that PM Tion Gute urges population to embrace peace and reconstruction, and the population hails PM's historic visit and progress in the PPRD projects in Cameroon Acres, especially as the PPRD count gains unlock growth in the northwest and southwest region in the pilot. The PM salutes steady progress in the Northwest in the Guardian Post and reaffirms government's vow to fully rebuild Northwest in Cameroon Insider. But the Horizon questions PM's Bamenda visit. But why did he come? The bi-weekly publication indicates that Urban Stretch Road launch was postponed, among others, happening when CPDM is against CPDM over Bia's candidature. In the Guardian Post, a CPDM supporter defies Bia and announces his candidacy for president. In the median, Newswatch reports that Sadi and Famdongo play politics with Bia's re-election equation, what The Voice newspaper describes as government cacophony, as Sadi agrees to 50-50 chance of Bia's candidacy, but Famdongo retorts, says it is 100%. Cameroon Tribune then quotes Rene Manuel Sadi. The CPDM is preparing for the election in all confidence, especially as the ANDP and the MDR renew their support to the CPDM in Cameroon Tribune. And as the pilot presents reasons it thinks Akere Muna is last hope for the presidential election, Cameroon's parliament calls on members of both houses to work more than ever before for the preservation of peace and national unity in Cameroon Tribune. At a time Bia is set to convene electorate to the polls in October in municipal updates, Cameroon Tribune indicates that political parties with the ability to present a candidate for the election are on high alert. The lone English daily, The Guardian Post, reports that the search for a single opposition candidate has seen political leaders circle around Bello Buba and Chiroma. At a time elections to the Cameroon Bar set for July 14, lawyers beat barrister Epe's drum at campaign launch in The Advocate. The Herald Tribune reports that Bar President Mba Eric is seeking re-election, but the interest of the pilot is on Barrister Ndango, who preaches peace and love at the Meta Unity Tournament in Bangui. Before Professor Nalova Lyonga is named Woman of the Year during the Cameroon English Language Newspapers Publishers Association Award, the voice is clear that the Minister of Secondary Education is being distinguished for her landmark reforms in the education sector, like the digitization of payments in secondary schools that has been curbing corruption, among others. Just when MTN and Orange Cameroon telephone operators are fined over 2.6 billion CFA francs by the Telecommunications Regulatory Board for poor quality of services, poor coverage, and tariffs levied on users in Cameroon Tribune. Until I come your way again, this is your Hour with the Press.
Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Emanuela Vemnui, for reading the newspapers. For us, we hope that things are going to come back to normal because the program didn't start well, and the ideas and the manner in which the ideas of one of our panelists expressed them does not reflect the manner in which respectable program like Press R takes place, and the ideas do not respect the editorial policy of Press R that depends on the editorial policy of the CRTV. The person who says all those things said them on their behalf and should take responsibility for whatever thing they said. And I want also to plead with my panelists that we have not come to the set to quarrel. We have come to the set to express our views in a very respectable manner, in such a way that we get honor from those who are watching us, that we have good ideas and we express them the way that should enlighten them, the way that they should look at us and respect us. That said, we are going to delve directly into our talking point for today, and our topic is October presidential election in Cameroon. What role would alliances play in this election? We're talking about this because we're coming from a background where the CPDM has been, like many other countries, parties in some countries, ruling with alliances from some major political parties, the UNDP, the FSNC, but they detached themselves. And CPDMC has alliances. Other political parties are trying to come together, form alliances to face the election. We want to see what role these alliances will play in this election. And I will begin with from someone who is the national president of a party. What's the role of an alliance in a political process, electoral process, if you want?
Well, thank you very much, Killian, for inviting me here on this August program. And I want to take the opportunity to greet all the fellow panelists and to be able to continue to appeal that we should carry out this debate in a way that will be very, very constructive. And to greet our panelists who are listening to us from Cameroon and out of Cameroon. And back to the question, we should understand that alliances are very normal procedures when it comes to certain transactions. And in the case in point, we are talking about political transactions in Cameroon. And you've mentioned about the ruling party creating alliances with other parties and all of that. And recently we have seen the dynamics of the political terrain and how things are changing and they are moving in different directions. And we must understand that, like I've always told Cameroonians, that the time have changed and we must change with the times. I believe that after 43 years, it is important for the ruling party to understand that the dynamics have changed. Different actors have come up in the political landscape in Cameroon, and things will not continue to be the same. No matter what is happening, I want to look at it from the two points of view, from the ruling party's point of view and from the opposition point of view. And we must understand that the opposition also have understood that, you know, there are certain dynamics that must be put into place in order for us to be able to win elections in Cameroon, especially with the context that we have in this country and with the ways at which the ruling party conducts election in this country. So, coalition, or maybe you call it alliances, are all part and parcel of a political game. But as I'm saying, the dynamics have changed. And many things are going to be happening in the days ahead that will continue to actually disintegrate former alliances, which have not been able to actually produce the end results from which Cameroonians were looking at some of those alliances. And you understand what I'm talking about. You mentioned about Bello Buba and Issa Chiroma. All of those alliances are not, the breaking up which is taking place now is not just some kind of maybe political mesmerizing. It is something which is serious, which is fundamental, and I know that Cameroonians have been following the work that some of us who have been doing, and particularly me, have been part of the building, on the ground building of serious coalition. The SDF representative is here, can attest to that. So there are a lot of underground work that's going on to make sure that those alliances don't remain as it was or that it is.
I have been seeing images of you in a group you're talking about, a group of opposition parties of which you form part. I'm going to ask you later to tell us how far you've gone with it, what do you think you can do with it. But now let me go to the other panelists. I ask the political analyst the role of alliances in an electoral process, especially in Cameroon, this time that we know we are having a new kind of, as he says, dynamic.
Thank you very much for having this. I'd also like to apologize on behalf of the viewers, both international and local. As a political analyst, I understand also the freedom of I understand the freedom of mass communication and liberty of freedom of speech. Unfortunately, my younger man was excited and he went out of order, but I think he's a political enthusiast. He's young, he's learning, and so we should also encourage him as well, even though it seems as if he left from the SDF to the CRM, but I think he will come back to the SDF. As to the question in itself, I think it's very true the word alliance and coalitions are interchangeable from a political science analogy, and I would agree with him, but I would just be precise on the differentiation in terms of politics as well. Alliances are much more long-term in terms of their partnerships with political entities. That's why we probably saw the UNDP and FSNC had a long partnership per se with the regime, or we would say with CPDM political party. And now when you see those long-term partnerships, the results are what determine if the longevity of the partnership will continue. So if you look at just the municipal councillors, the CPDM political party has about 9,000 municipal councillors, the UNDP has about 500, and so the FNCNC, I think, about 127. So from a political standpoint, if you're requesting to speak with someone that has 9,000 municipal councillors and you have 197, I mean, you might not have a response. Because in their personal standpoint, from where they stand from the electoral, you do not really count. So from that standpoint, you could understand where the CPDM political party stands in terms of the electoral facts on the ground. Now, with coalitions, what actually happens, they are sometimes not formal and they're also informal, but they are short-term because they are strategic and targeted, just like I think what Prince Okoso is trying to do, where they want a specific result in terms of they want to win the election. Now, it could be the presidential universal suffrage, it could be the legislative. Now, what the differentiation would be with the presidential, it becomes very much more difficult because in the presidential election, you're more respondent to the candidate in himself. And so we are finding ourselves, the Electoral College has been convened. On the 22nd of July, all the candidacies must be deposited, which means each candidate must have at least 30 million deposit on that candidacy as well. So now what is incumbent on these coalitions is the guarantees that each political faction can guarantee another political faction, because if I give you my candidacy, it means I already had about 30 million to be able to put for my candidacy. Will I give you that? So what are the guarantees that would they give, would they entertain, would they be able? For me, from my political standpoint, I think these coalitions, these discussions will be informal. I think opinion polls are not necessarily popular polls. They don't necessarily translate into the voters' result. So it would be premature to assume that within these alliances, they would have a factual result come October 12th.
The alliances, as you say, could even come before the submission of the candidacy papers. We mean that they sit together, they choose one candidate. They will not need to multiply the 30 million each candidate has to bring to the table.
The catch now is that political parties have an interest. We are in a situation in geopolitical reality in Cameroon where the structuration of political parties, sometimes the vision doesn't hold, and sometimes you don't have campaign managers, you don't have strategies that are within these political parties. So the structuration that you needed to have built up before the presidential campaign to give a vision and an image so that within the circumscriptions or the electoral basis, you can convince the voters of your agenda. So the timing, which is what I'm trying to say here, the timing is very, very difficult for these political parties to guarantee this coalition. So it would be very, very difficult. In my particular sense, it would come down to a level where the political party with more resources will absorb the less political party with less resources.
Yes, your take on this.
Yes,
Promise.
I would just ask myself and you and all the panelists, like, we're talking of political alliances. When we still have political parties being legalized, just within this week, a political party was legalized. Now, that one, is it going to form a coalition with an already existing party?
We can forget about that and move forward.
What is the common point of the alliances? Because I think, as you said earlier on, we are coming to alliances because we have maybe something in common. Maybe I've seen your manifesto and I think it is interesting. We have points in mind which are in common, and I want us to work together.
The simple definition for an alliance does not even include that. The simple definition,
if I'm working with you on this platform,
this is it. This is what, when we learned from history, we know that during the Second World War, we had countries that came together, a marriage of convenience, not actually a marriage based on love or something
you said
like
of
that.
convenience,
we mean
right?
That you may not accept my policies. I don't accept their policies.
Maybe
we
not
have
all.
a common target, common goal. We say, okay, bring your votes, I bring my vote, and then we defeat that and see the rest afterwards.
That is to say, because I know some of the strong points you have to bring into the alliance, and because I know that as a candidate, maybe I know your track record, but we have candidates who are still declaring their intentions up to this week. After the electorate has been convened, some people are still declaring their intentions to be president of the Republic of Cameroon. And you're asked, like, if such a person comes up to maybe a party like that and says, I want us to form an alliance, what track record do you have of this new candidate? what does he have as weight to bring into the alliance?
You
And
assess.
how convincing is that going to be for maybe your own electorate? Because this alliance is for those who have left it as at now, for Belobo and for Issa Chirima, when these parties come into alliance with the ruling party, what is the target? What's the goal? What's the objective? Because so far we've seen the top authorities of the top hierarchy of these other parties gaining their government positions, gaining their favors from the ruling government. But what about the people, the party members, the militants, the sympathizers? How do they benefit from these alliances? Because all of it should not be about personal gains.
You are
It
very,
should be about,
you are very correct. But in politics, that's a political analysis. That doesn't play at this moment. We want to get to power. We want to win power first. We consider how we implement our policies. That's why so many of you and so many of us say that we have to judge the candidates on their performance. That performance is only afterwards. Sometimes what they promise you, that's not what they give. But what we are talking about today on Press R is
the role of the alliances.
Yes, alliances
You know,
and play
bizarrely enough, Killian,
in overtaking the...
Bizarrely enough, you have the president of a political party here on the platform. I don't know if he's a presidential candidate or not. If he has to do the poster, he's waiting for July 22 to deposit
says
his
he's part of an
candidacy.
alliance.
Oh, but
yes.
So the question is what?
You want me to answer that?
No,
what did he consider? Because since he's here to give us a first-hand understanding of
yes,
this,
I said I was going to ask him. I will ask him the question.
Do you have something special that they put into consideration? Like we've heard
I will
of
ask him. I will
some
ask him
candidates that are little known who
I will
are
ask
coming
him that.
into
I will ask him that
alliance.
question when the time comes.
But why did you have to invite a candidate when it's not yet campaign time? God, this is a press.
Well, you have come here
well?
to give your contributions
Yes,
on what alliances can do. I don't think that you'll be asking me because he is here to answer those questions. We vary the guests that we invite on Press R. UI journalist is a political scientist. He is a politician. He also is a politician as a candidate. If I had the means to bring the President of the Republic to this set, I would not hesitate to bring him because all the stakes concern all of us in Cameroon. So at this moment, political alliances are not new concepts in Cameroon. And we talked to one of the informed politicians in Cameroon, Mr. Fru Jonathan, who tells us that we've had that in Cameroon. It is not new. Let's watch.
Since the advent of democracy in Cameroon, the question of alliances has been ongoing. And we know that when we talk about alliances, it's the CPDM that has been able to manage alliances in this country. You will understand that alliances normally come up when a political party feels threatened or they have a strong opponent. They can decide to put themselves together to face the opponent. In our political history, what I can remember is that the CPDM had some difficulties around 1992 when some opposition parties who were quite strong at that period came up forcefully, and the CPDM almost found itself in a minority in the National Assembly. At that time, President Paul Biya was obliged to go into an alliance or alliances with some political party in order to maintain the CPDM afloat in government, and which did succeed because at that moment we had strong political parties like the UNDP, the MDR, the UPC, and so on. In fact, President Paul Biya went into an alliance with these parties and succeeded to maintain the CPDM in power. And since then, the CPDM has taken control of the whole situation. And subsequently, if President Paul Biya went to any alliance, subsequently, it's no longer because the CPDM was threatened, it's just because President Paul Biya felt that he should be open out and be able to share power with the opposition, because President Paul Biya believes that the opposition, even though they are opposing him, they still have some ideas and they can still work together. And that's why for close to 2 decades, the president has been ruling this country. The CPDM has been working with alliances.
So actually, it is not new. It has been taking place in our country. We are going to take the microphone round the set. I ask you, Jodonichi, I want us to be calm this time. What role, you didn't answer that question when it went around, does alliances play? And what role will alliances play in the presidential election that comes up on the 12th of October this year.
All right. Thank you for the question. But before I answer you, permit me comment on your guest who just spoke. First of all, I would like to inform Mr. Fu Jonathan to pipe down with his arrogance. This is the arrogance of people who are part of the team that stole the presidential victory of the national chairman, Nijo Frundi, in 1992. And ever since Albert Dongang declared that he was the masterminder of that theft, they have not bothered him. And he comes up to call the SDF a mushroom party. No, he talked about mushroom parties. You didn't get him?
And cited the SDF?
No, when
Did he
he talks about
cite
it,
the
I
SDF?
understand. He
No.
said some mushroom parties came together, please.
No. No.
Why? You want to be
Can you
responsible
answer
for what
my
I
question?
say?
Can you answer my question?
No, you
I
said
did not
I should
ask
stay
you
within
to.
the debate.
Yes, I didn't ask you to react. I said
You said I should stay within
have
the
you,
debate.
Can you answer my question?
I will
No.
answer your question.
Yes. What role does
And if
alliance
at the end of the time you gave me, I do not answer your question, you can take away the microphone. But I'm within the debate. I'm commenting what somebody said.
Can you answer?
Don't take it personal.
Can you? When he was speaking.
No, you are fighting the truth.
Did he
you
sound?
Don't want the truth to come out. Why are you fighting the truth?
No.
The battles that we have left all these years been insulted, and you want to comment?
See, this is what we expect of you. With one before, this is what we expect. When he was speaking there, even he was arrogant. Even if he were arrogant,
he was arrogant. I find him arrogant.
He was not speaking the way you are speaking.
No,
what we demand of you is that air your ideas, don't fight them. On Press Hour, we don't permit that.
Have I boxed anybody here?
You have. There is verbal,
to you with punches.
There is verbal violence.
When I'm firm in what I am saying, why?
Michael, Ekoso, now you are part of alliances. What is in the alliance you have? How far have you come with it? How feasible is it?
Well, basically, we must understand that we are in a political game, and in politics, you know, you don't air out some of your strategies early enough, you know, when it comes to things like this. And like I said earlier, we have been working on the ground, and we have been taking into account the different ways at which we have experienced elections in Cameroon. I want us to understand that for about 4 years now, we have been working with different political parties, and the main political parties that we have been working on, basically, first of all, on the electoral code. There are 7 of us. You have the SDF, you have the CRM, you have the MP, you have the UMS of Kwemo Pierre. You have USDP of Prince Ekoso. You have UDC of Madam Joya. And we've worked like that for about 4 years now. But now we have moved from that point of collaboration with regards to the electoral code to something else, which has to do now with the context of politics in this country, which is the election, the presidential election. And that shift is bringing on board different political actors and different political leaders, which we are working on. And I think last Saturday, we had a very serious meeting with some of the actors that you called from the North. And I want to reiterate on this panel that the North alone, that is the extreme North, that is when we talk about the far North, we talk about the Adamawa, the North, and the extreme North. They account for about 40% of the electors of the results of the elections in this country. 40%. And if you talk about those actors who have actually decamped from the alliances that they had with the ruling party, we are talking now about 40% of the results of presidential elections or any other elections being taken away from the ruling party.
Not 40% being taken away. Mind you, ANDP is from that part of the country, still with the ruling party. You have parts of even the FNCNC that is already going to the ruling party. Some other like
MDC has resigned from the government.
Yes, but you have some factions of that party that have detached from
factions.
Now, you know, just want to. Yes, I will let you speak. I will let you continue to speak.
Yes.
You have MDR, which also is a party that did so well in alliance in 1992. Is still with the CPDM, and CPDM convinced supporters are still there. So you cannot say that the 40% has been taken away. You can continue.
Killian, you don't know.
Can continue.
You don't know. You don't know.
Mr. President,
I'm bringing facts. And you don't know
what I'm saying. Those are not facts.
Well, the point is that you are talking from the superficial point of view. When you talk about I want to talk about 40%. I'm talking about the things that we know are feasible within the context of politics right now in this country. You are talking about MDR. Do you know what I've talked with the MDR? You don't know. You don't expect me to come here and be expressing
officially, that. Officially, MDR is with the CPD.
We are not talking about official things. You have asked me a question. Let me answer.
You are talking about unofficial business in an official set house.
I am within the context of politics in Cameroon, and I have given a statistics of what obtains from the Adamawa to the extreme north. And from that perspective, I am trying to develop my input to this program. And I expect that if you consider me as a presidential candidate and as a politician, allow me to give you information that may help you in many subsequent programs. That is going to help the
I am a journalist. I deal with you. I'm a journalist.
It's going to help.
Mr. President, I'm a journalist. I invite you here. I talk with you out of here. I'm a journalist. I cover inside events of CPDM, of SDF, of NUDP, and of all the other parties. I actually do that. So you cannot say that you are giving me information.
I'm running for president.
You are running for president.
Good.
You talk about that. Don't say you are giving facts that we don't have.
That is a basic information that will help you to be able to understand that I cannot come here and say things which are not in conjunction with...
That's even the next topic we will be handling.
Yeah. I'm not even finished analyzing this point that you asked me.
You've not finished because you are claiming to own the monopoly of facts.
No, I didn't claim. I'm telling you that I have information.
And I don't have? What do I have?
You have, but you have asked me a question. Let me answer within the framework of my information I have.
Continue.
Yes, sir.
But don't say that you have deep facts. I have superficial.
Well,
when I tell you,
sorry for that word.
When I tell you that ANDP just the other day is giving their allegiance to the CPDM, MDR officially is giving their allegiance to the CPDM, and then you tell me that
you need to understand that even if all of these parties from the north they dissociate and discontinue the alliance with the CPDM, nothing assures you that the alliance that people are going to create is going to have a 100% vote from the three northern regions, because even in Frunzi's stronghold in 1992, he did not have a 100%. There will always be people who have their own convictions with or without the alliances being formed. So if you see you already have 40% of the Grand North.
I made a statement that 40% of the elections in this country is coming from the north.
Which does not assure you that you have all the 40% in your alliance.
I didn't say that all the 40% is coming to our alliance. I mentioned that 40% of the elections in this country is coming from the extreme north
and have been taken away with the departure of the... That's what he said.
No,
exactly.
I didn't say so. I said that.
I will go back to Mr. Fu Jonathan, who is of the CPD, and come back to you.
No, I don't need to go to Mr. Fu Jonathan. Let me just finish before you go to him, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want us to leave this studio or give Cameroon the impression that I'm giving wrong facts, or I said what I didn't say, or we conclude that I said something which I didn't say.
Go ahead.
The point is that I am making an analysis of the situation on the ground. The situation on the ground states that 40% of the electoral results in this country is coming from the Adamawa, the north, and the extreme north.
Fact.
That's the point.
We agree.
The second point I am trying to analyze is that part of those points, like for example, the people who have resigned from the we call it alliances, are already giving us the opportunity to be able to make sure that that bridge which is being created right now is going to be exploited by the negotiations that we keep on making on the ground. And I'm trying
and
to...
I like that now.
Excuse me,
you
let
have
me
said
finish.
part.
No,
you can go ahead.
Let me finish.
I give you more time. You have said part, and that also is a fact.
Now we are exploiting it, and you don't know at what level we have exploited them. People can come on air and say something, but in reality, what they have said is not what obtains on the ground. That is politics for you in Cameroon. So when you say that they are MDR and so on and so forth,
well,
we cannot actually ascertain that what the MDR has said obtains in the reality of the discussion that is ongoing. So I want to conclude by saying this. The elections of 2025 is obvious that it's not going to be the same like the elections of 2018. Why? Because if you look at the abstentions of 2018, the percentage was about 57%. That is one of the highest abstention. Why was the abstention massive abstention? Is because the opposition had not given the picture of the kind of opposition that wants to actually bring change in Cameroon. But this time around, starting from about 4 years ago, with the people I've just mentioned, it has not been seen in the history of this country that opposition parties come together and work for this law and came out with a very reliable document.
Yes, we're going to see that. Let me ask you another question. No, you continue.
Yes.
I will give it to you. You have said this, that what the others come and declare, I should not think that that is true. Did you say that?
I didn't say that you should not think that is true. I just made an analysis that what people say on the open may not necessarily translate what is in the inside. That's what I said.
Now,
I didn't say that.
And I ask you this question.
Yes.
Why do you then think that we should believe what you are saying? Because you are saying in the open. That's what is happening.
I didn't ask you to believe. I'm just saying what I'm saying. I'm affirming what I'm saying. So if you want to believe, it's up to you. If you don't want to believe, I'm giving facts, and maybe we should leave it after the presidential election, that we can make good judgment of,
exactly.
Of
if you
what
said
I'm saying.
So, but don't say that what they say in the public. When you are also speaking in the public.
That's the obvious truth. That's the obvious truth.
It means what you are saying here now is not what you believe.
Many politicians, and we understand that even within the CPDM, the promises that the CPDM has made for this country has never been translated into full actions.
Yes.
So what people say outside may not necessarily mean may not necessarily translate what they are doing inside.
See what another person from another party thinks different from you in a very cool manner. I like the way you talk in a very cool manner. For Jonathan tells us how alliances will play in the election that is coming up.
Today, things are not the same like in the 90s, because we see the opposition completely almost wiped out. In fact, we don't really have a strong opposition again in our country. Some of them, like the UNDP and the others, joined the CPDM to work together. The others, like the SDF. The SDF, we discovered that through the boycott of elections and other problems, internal problems, the SDF was completely fragilized. And with the death of their charismatic chairman, today the SDF is no longer what we thought before. It's almost an image of itself. The other political parties, like UDC, their chairman is equally died, and that weakened the party. So when we're talking about forming alliances, we're talking of parties that are strong parties, that are regrouped around a dominant party to be able to create an alliance. But when we look at the political scene today, which is that dominant party? If we look at a party like the MRC, it's a party which would have been dominant, but their political ideology does not fit in the democratic context, because they use violence, they don't respect the law. So eventually we see that on the political scene in Cameroon, the opposition is completely absent. So if they are even to form an alliance, who are they? How many of them are there? What is their influence on the field? We have more than 300 political parties, and I can tell you that looking at the nature of the opposition, how they function together, I doubt whether if all these 300 political parties were to put together to be able to meet up with the CPDM. This I say with conviction, because we have the statistics that can be able to prove this to Cameroonians. Let's look at the coverage. The CPDM is the only political party that covers 100% this country, and even abroad. There's no other political party that has the strength. We look at the political elite. We will discover that the CPDM has absorbed virtually all the political elite in this country. We're talking of all the ministers. We're talking of almost all. We're talking of general managers. We're talking of directors. We're talking of big business people. We're talking of big farmers. In fact, we're talking of even the intellectuals. Most of them have been absorbed by the CPDM, and we know they came into the CPDM out of conviction, and they shall be out to defend the CPDM. Look at the statistics up till today. In the Assembly, the CPDM has a dominant majority. In the Senate, in the regional assemblies, in the local councils, in fact, it's the CPDM that is dominant. And these people shall go back to the field to be able to work for the party. So if today the opposition is talking about forming an alliance, I think it will be difficult. It will be very difficult. If there is to be any alliance, I think it's still the CPDM who, after having won the election, will normally want to open its arms as usual. President Pobia is used to that. He will normally want to invite some political opponents to come and help him govern in the country.
Yes, this is not the first time that we've had attempts by the opposition parties to come together in an alliance before an election. Each time they try, they don't agree. Sometimes the argument is over who is going to lead the alliance. For example, you are a political analyst. Can you tell us from a political analytical point of view what makes it difficult for opposition parties not to come together? Each time they come together, they don't agree to form a common ground.
Thank you. And I think for the viewers back at home, when you can, for those watching, if you see the contention, it revolves around really one particular issue as a political controversy. So most political parties in Cameroon, they're over 300, have a difficulty in structuration.
They're about 380, 79.
Yes, so we can
handpick
handpick maybe less than 15 that have worked their way towards structuration. Maybe in the 1990s, the SDF with Chairman Nijon Frundi. Unfortunately, with his passing, it's going through a rebirth. And then you could look at the other political parties which are struggling to unite, just like maybe in the alliance. He would call it an alliance, but as a political analyst, I would see it more as a coalition. I don't think it's an alliance, because alliances are more long-term and they're more broad and it's more formal and it's an agreement which is written. And I think in a coalition it's strategic, but it's short-term for an objective. The objective being that within this presidential election, they want the regime to fall, which means they want President Paul Biya not to be able to win the presidential election. They have their right to be able to think so. It's a political debate, it's a political engagement, but unfortunately...
The alliance is before, coalition is after. So
no,
form a coalition government.
A coalition is a strategic alliance, actually. So a coalition is a strategic alliance, actually. So the alliance is broader, but the coalition is a strategic alliance for a short-term period. So in succinct terms for people back at home to be able to understand, most political parties, even the ruling CPDM political party, in my opinion as a political analyst, they have difficulty in structuration, which means that the messages which are vehicled in terms of communication repose not on the ideology of the political party, but impersonations of personal people who actually communicate on behalf of the party, or the political leaders who actually do the strategies for the party. So it doesn't involve a structuration where you have strategies, you have experts who help them to be able to in the vision. Now I think in their coalition, they have come up with a document which puts forth a strategy, but that strategy in terms of the timing might be a little bit too short. I particularly think that for their strategy and for their documentation, it will particularly be very effective in the legislative elections in March. But when we look at presidential elections where effectively you need a lot of resources, you need a lot of momentum, and
I think resources and momentum they will have if they agree.
Well, it is
Would
very
they
problem
agree?
is
Would
with-
they end up agreeing?
Yeah,
the difficulty
with them agreeing.
The difficult and that's the structural difference. The difficulty is that would be, if you don't mind me.
Let me just contribute to your argument. Let me say this. You know, one of the things that has actually created the kind of mentality that Cameroonians have about opposition political parties is maybe some analysis like you are making. We all are Cameroonians.
Right.
And if we really want change in this country, we must understand that opposition political parties are not some devils coming from
no one says
from
that.
the skies.
No one says
We
that.
are all Cameroonians and we have ideas that can be able to build this country. You can be part of that idea. And I believe strongly that what you are saying can be helpful. But now, the way you are saying it is like you are trying to denigrate the efforts of opposition parties in this country. Maybe that's not the idea. But let me say this. Let me just say this.
If you allow me,
Yeah, you will
if
speak.
you allow
I'm
me
just-
to
I'm
land
just-
for you before
yeah.
you preempt, I will give you back. The difference here is that you're generalizing. As a political analyst, I do not generalize the intent. When you generalize the intent, the popular opinion generalizes the intent. The effort has to be strategic. I'm referring to the effort. Now, the effort is different from the structuration of the individual political party, whether it's the CPDM political party or your political formation. Structuration, generalization, has an effect on the credibility of the political candidate in Twitu per se. I think for the timing of the efforts of your coalition, the timing is very short.
No,
How
for 4 years?
No, 4 years of coalition of talking informally doesn't present an official...
There are documents outside.
No, 4 years, let me be precise. 4 years of informal strategizing and conviction informally doesn't present an official presidential candidate, which leaves this. It is very difficult for a majority candidate, maybe say from the UNDP, who has had talks with Joshua Osei actually as well, and they are informal, for them to be able to sit at this particular point and say who would swallow the other. It becomes very difficult because in the popular opinion, because in the popular opinion, when you are going for a presidential election, you would have to swallow a can. There's one victor. It's not 20 victors.
Don't be surprised.
No, I find that hard to believe.
The point here, Kylian, is the fact that the opposition still does not want to accept the fact that among themselves they are greedy, they are self-centered, they are egocentric, because they cannot come together and just simply pick one person to be a president. But now don't forget that a country is not ruled by only the president. We have ministers, we have directors who play very, very important roles as well in the country. So why the egocentrism of I must be president? And we can also deny the very dark hand of the ruling government that's always manipulating the greedy ones, because you cannot be manipulated if you're not greedy.
No.
If they come and say, okay, disconnect from this party because this is this, people are declaring political parties now. We have a senator who just declared his candidacy for president.
How can you imagine
he has
that?
a Momo brother who is a criminal.
We have 3 minutes to go to the end of this program. There is one question that I will ask you. What impact will the detachment of Mr. Bello Buba Maigari and Issa Chiruma Bakari will have on the results, may have on the results of the 2025 presidential election?
Well,
1 minute, please, President, because we have
to take 1 minute. Before you say
yes.
taking 1 minute.
Go ahead.
Now, let me say this very clearly to Cameroonians. You know, it is true that sometimes people come up and they say things and people find it difficult to believe. But the strategies that we are putting in place are strategies that are winnable. And I can assure Cameroonians that we have been working on the ground for the past 4 years. The coming in of Bello Buba and Issa Chiroma is an additional effort to be able to consolidate that confidence that we have towards the opposition winning this presidential election.
Thank you. Diodone, what impact, please? Conclude? We don't have time. Diodone, what impact will the leaving of the UNDP and FSNC from CPDM possibly creating the results?
Time will answer that question. What is important is that they have left and the dynamics is ongoing. But I want to inform you and your televiewers that, one, the SDF is very open for a coalition. That in the peak of our popularity with our emblematic chairman, Legion Frundi, we have always been for that dynamics, for certain strategic reasons looking at our political landscape, and we are still working towards that. And it is in the days ahead, Cameroonians are going to appreciate for themselves who is matching word with action, depending on what will happen from now on henceforth. But I will not be the one who saw the sex of angels to tell you exactly what impact it will have. Having said that, I want to remind you, first of all, you said in the introduction about the NUDP in a coalition, that the NUDP was not part of the coalition of 1992 that led the chairman Frundi into victory that was stolen. The NUDP was not part of the Union for Change. And to say that Cameroonians, while they have asked for coalition and people are working on it, Cameroonians should remain determined. And one thing, no matter the outcome of negotiations as they are ongoing, one thing that Cameroonians must not do is to resign. They must not resign. They must go to the polls. Even if it takes going to the polls and casting a null ballot, that null ballot will send a message. And the figures that will come out, even if from a null ballot, will inform the dynamics of Cameroon going ahead.
Thank you,
when time will come, we will be there to inform them about why they should vote for the candidate of the SDF, for the coalition that the SDF may be supporting, why they should vote for the coalition that the SDF may be leading, and why they should vote for the candidate of the SDF. The National Executive Committee meeting has been convened, and as far as the SDF is concerned, the position of the SDF with respect to key issues like coalition is determined by the National Executive Committee.
Thank you.
And in the days ahead, Cameroonians will be informed. I'm sure we are very, very, very much aware of the stakes, and we are taking our responsibility.
Thank you so much. I know we don't have much time. This is what the CPDM...
You cut all my time.
This is
you took all my time. This is what about it.
This is what the CPDM thinks about the departure of Isachi.
You give all the time to the CPDM
and UDP.
I hope you give them 1 minute.
Through Jonathan.
I hope you give them 1 minute.
Of the UNDP and the FSNC may influence the votes of the CPDM or not. That we can't deny it. But we know that the CPDM still has a big majority in the north. Take note that these political parties, we have been seeing them operating. They will appear now during elections and maybe pull some crowds. Some of those the people who come are curious onlookers. There are some of them who don't even have the party cards of those political parties. They hear that it's changed. This is a period. Anyone who stands up now and want to criticize or talk, people will come to watch. But how many of them have their voters' cards? How many of them are militants of your party? So the impact in the extreme north may not affect the CPDM too much, even if it will. Besides, the CPDM not only rely on extreme north, they have other areas that the party is relying on. It may impact the party, but it will not change anything fundamental because these political parties, that small political parties, they don't cover the whole region as you may think. In fact, they should go to Mona, to Kuseri, and come and move such crowds. They can move the crowds in Bagarwa, in Gawandere, but when they go to the interior, you will meet real committed militants of the CPDM who shall be ready to vote for the party. So the impact is there, but it's not going to fundamentally affect the results of the CPDM in the north.
Thank you so much. Time is up. I just wish to announce that after Press R, those who can wish the presenter happy birthday should come to Press R Part 2. Thank you so much.
That's what I thought about the stepping out of the other people from the
No,
alliance.
I would have done that, but we don't have the time. Thank you. Promise, Akante, journalist, corporate community.
Happy birthday to you, Killian.
What kind of voice
Happy
is that?
birthday to you.
What voice is that?
Hooray.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching.
Thank you too for the fight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the fight.
Thank you. I like the way
It shows
it
what I
ended.
stand for, the truth.
I like the way you ended. Jordan H. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
I didn't end to please
you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching this program.